Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The airport terminal was packed that morning. Travelers hurried along, some lost in their phones, others obsessed with the clock ticking inexorably toward boarding time. Among them, a pregnant woman walked slowly, one hand resting on her rounded belly, looking tired but serene. Her name was Emily Carter, and that day she was meeting her family for an important gathering. But before she reached the boarding gate, a police dog attached to a security guard stopped abruptly in front of her. Its loud barking echoed through the hall, drawing everyone's attention. Passengers stepped back, some frightened, others curious. The dog growled and pulled at its leash, refusing to obey its handler's commands. The guard, red with frustration, tried to calm the animal, but to no avail. Emily, frightened and confused, placed a hand on her stomach, her eyes wide. "What have I done?" she whispered. The whispers spread through the crowd. "Why is he barking at her? Is she dangerous?" Then, just as the officer was about to intervene more forcefully, the truth came out. The dog wasn't barking at her because she was suspicious, but because it recognized someone she was carrying. In her suitcase, a small package, seemingly innocuous at first glance, contained medical samples the dog had learned to detect over the years, linked to a criminal case that had been going on for years. Emily, seemingly ordinary, was in fact the key to an investigation no one could have imagined. The entire hall held its breath. What seemed like a minor confrontation at the airport was about to turn into a shock no one would forget. And for Emily, this trip would reveal secrets she thought were buried forever. Emily Carter walked slowly through the crowded airport terminal, her handbag slung over her shoulder and her rolling suitcase behind her. She was 7 months pregnant, and each step was a small effort. She was looking forward to joining her sister in New York, but what she didn't know was that this trip was about to take a completely unexpected turn. As she passed the security checkpoint, a police dog attached to a security officer suddenly stopped. Its shrill barks cut through the hubbub of the lobby. Emily jumped, clutching her stomach. The officer, Daniels, pulled on the leash to try to subdue the animal, but to no avail. "Calm down, Max," Daniels shouted, red with frustration. But the dog seemed focused solely on Emily and her suitcase. The passengers moved aside, whispering and pointing at the scene. "Why is he barking at her? She didn't do anything, I know him." Emily felt her heart race. "What's happening?" she asked, her voice trembling. She tried to walk away, but Max's eyes followed her intently. Suddenly, a senior security officer approached and glanced at Emily's suitcase. His eyes widened. "Wait, this can't be happening," he murmured. He took a deep breath before speaking to Emily. "Mrs. Carter, could you please open your suitcase?" Emily obeyed, still confused. When she opened the suitcase, the agent stared at a small, discreet package, barely visible among her personal belongings. Max, the dog, growled softly, sniffing intently. This package," the agent stammered, "is exactly what Max has been trained to detect for years." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. What she thought would be a simple trip to visit her family had suddenly turned into a tense police drama. And everyone in the lobby understood that the dog wasn't barking for no reason. Emily stared at the small package in her suitcase, her hands trembling. She never would have imagined that a simple family business trip would turn into a public interrogation. Officer Daniels, still red with frustration, tried to regain control of the situation, but Max, the police dog, wouldn't take his eyes off Emily and her suitcase. "Miss Carter," the senior officer began, his face serious, "this dog is trained to detect certain types of substances and objects related to highly sensitive criminal investigations. And what you are carrying is exactly what we have been looking for years." Emily felt an icy chill run down her spine. She didn't understand. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a package of my personal belongings." The officer sighed. "We'll have to check. Max has never been wrong, except in cases where the person is innocent." But here. He hesitated for a moment, glancing at Officer Daniels. Max detected something very specific. The package actually contained medical samples linked to an old criminal case involving an illegal organization that had attempted to manipulate rare substances for prohibited experiments. Unbeknownst to her, Emily had been in possession of these samples to transport them safely to a federally protected laboratory, acting on the request of a former mentor whom she deeply respected. I didn't know this would be a problem," Emily murmured, her voice trembling. At that moment, Max sat up suddenly, still staring at Emily, but calmly. The senior agent frowned. "Interesting, the dog now seems to indicate that you are under protection, not a suspect." The passengers nearby watched the scene, some shocked, others fascinated. What had begun as a simple bark from a police dog at the airport had just turned into a public revelation of a dangerous secret unknown to everyone. Emily then understood that her trip was not just for her family, it would become the beginning of an adventure where her safety, that of her unborn child, and the truth about these samples would be put to the test. After a period of relative calm, the senior officer led Emily to a more secluded area of the airport, away from prying eyes. Max, the police dog, walked beside her, his eyes always alert and vigilant. Emily felt her heart pounding, not only from fear, but also from the surging adrenaline. "Miss Carter," the officer began, his tone serious but not accusatory, "you must explain to us exactly what this package contains and why you are carrying it. It is very rare for a police dog to behave this way, and even less so with an apparently innocent person." Emily took a deep breath. She knew she had to tell the truth. "These samples," she said, slowly opening the package and revealing the carefully sealed vials, "were given to me by Dr. Lawrence, a former government researcher. They come from a secret study that I was tasked with transferring to a secure laboratory. I have nothing to hide and never intended to use them for personal gain." The agent examined the samples carefully. After a tense moment of silence, he turned to Daniels. "Max is never wrong. If he barked, it's because something dangerous was here. But now, he recognizes that she's an ally, not a threat." Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders, but her relief was short-lived. The agent continued, "However, there's a complication. This illegal organization you're unwittingly transporting, they know you have these samples. And some corrupt agents might try to take them from you." Emily felt her stomach tighten with worry. "But I can't let these samples fall into the wrong hands," she said firmly. The officer nodded. "Exactly. And that's why we need to protect you. Max will accompany you, and will arrange your transfer to a secure area. But you must remain calm and cooperative. One mistake, and they could find you." Max rested his head on Emily's bag, as if to reassure her. This dog, who had seemed hostile a few minutes earlier, was now becoming her most reliable protector. Emily understood that her trip to the airport was only the first chapter of a dangerous game, where every decision could change the course of events. And she knew that the safety of her unborn child now depended on her vigilance and her ability to trust the right people. Emily was escorted by Agent Daniels and the senior agent to an armored car parked to the side, while Max trotted alongside them, his eyes watching every movement around them. The atmosphere at the airport had become strange. Some passengers were still watching them curiously, but no one dared approach. In the car, the senior agent calmly explained the plan. "We're going to transfer you to a safe location for the night. No one outside must know you're transporting these samples." Emily nodded, fully aware of the gravity of the situation. Her maternal instinct drove her to protect herself, but she also knew that these samples were essential to preventing the criminal organization from continuing its illegal activities. Max, sitting near the back seat, groaned softly as the car started moving. His ears pricked up at every suspicious sound from outside. Emily gently stroked his head. "Thank you for looking after me, Max. I think I can trust you." Shortly after departure, Agent Daniels spoke in a low voice. "Emily, we have received information that some members of the organization have been spotted near the airport. They may be following us or attempting to intercept us. We must remain vigilant." The journey was made in tense silence, every outside movement monitored by Max and the agents. At one point, Emily glimpsed a black car in the rearview mirror that seemed to be following them at a distance. Her breath caught in her throat, but Max growled again, warning that the threat was real. Arriving at a secure warehouse converted into a temporary shelter, Emily was relieved to finally get out of the car. The place was discreet, guarded by agents and equipped with surveillance cameras. Max sniffed the area, seemingly confirming that everything was safe for the time being. "You are safe here for the night," the senior officer stated, "but tomorrow we will arrange your transfer to a secure laboratory to hand these samples over to experts. You must remain calm and not attract attention." Emily settled in, exhausted but aware that this night would be far from peaceful. The criminal organization would stop at nothing to recover what she was transporting. And she knew that with Max by her side, she had a chance of surviving this first confrontation, but that the danger was only just beginning. Night fell on the secure shelter, plunging Emily into relative darkness, lit only by cameras and a few dim lamps. She tried to rest, but her mind kept racing. Every noise seemed suspicious, and Max never left her side, lying close and growling softly at regular intervals. Around midnight, a faint metallic sound was heard outside the warehouse. Emily sat bolt upright, her heart pounding. Max stood instantly, ears pricked, eyes fixed on the door. Agent Daniels approached cautiously, weapon in hand, followed by the senior agent. "Stay behind us," he whispered to Emily. Suddenly, a figure tried to force open one of the shelter's windows. Max barked fiercely, leaping toward the threat. The intruder backed away, surprised by the intensity of the dog's attack. Officer Daniels lunged forward, quickly subduing the person, while the senior officer secured the area. Emily watched, trembling, as the intruder was immobilized. The man seemed young, but his eyes shone with cold determination. "Who are you?" the senior agent asked menacingly. The intruder, panting, murmured, I'm just following orders." His gaze fell on Emily. They want those samples." Max growled again, resting his head on the intruder's arm as if to warn that any attempt would be futile. Emily then understood that this organization would stop at nothing to recover the samples she was transporting. The senior agent turned to Emily. "Now you see the extent of the danger. We must act quickly. Tomorrow, you will be transferred to an even safer location." Emily clutched the package tightly, aware that every minute could be crucial. But she also knew that Max, loyal and vigilant, would be her first line of defense against those who wanted to hunt her down. As the intruder was taken away for questioning, Emily realized that this night was only the beginning of a dangerous game where every decision could change her life and that of her unborn child. The organization was closer than she had imagined, and the trials ahead promised to be even more intense. The next morning, Emily woke up still shaken by the nighttime break-in. Max was already awake, sitting by the door, his eyes scanning every corner of the shelter. Officer Daniels entered with a tablet containing information on the intruder arrested the previous night. "Emily," said the senior agent, leaning towards her, "we have interrogated the intruder. It appears that the organization you have been transporting samples to from the beginning is far more extensive than we initially thought." Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. "More stretched out, how so?" she asked, her voice trembling. The agent scrolled through the information on the tablet, photos, names, and locations of operations. "They have members infiltrated in several airports, transportation companies, and even within some security forces. They are actively searching for the samples you are carrying." Emily then understood the extent of the danger. "So, they could be everywhere, even here," she whispered. "Exactly," the agent confirmed. "That's why we need to transfer you to a secure laboratory where experts can analyze and protect these samples. But before that, there's something important you need to know." Emily shuddered. "What?" The senior agent showed a photo on the tablet. It was a man Emily had known for years, her mentor and the one who had entrusted her with the samples. "This man, Dr. Lawrence, has been targeted by this organization. They want to get their hands on the samples at any cost, and it's possible they'll use everyone in your circle to achieve this." Emily felt her heart clench. I have to protect these samples." she said, more determined than ever. And you will, Daniels added, stroking Max's head. Max will always be there to protect you. But you must remain vigilant and follow our instructions to the letter. Emily looked at the dog, sensing a deep bond of trust. She knew now that this transfer would not only be a matter of survival, but a crucial mission to prevent the criminal organization from committing even more serious crimes. As she prepared to leave the shelter for the transfer, Emily realized that the truth about this organization and her mentor would gradually unfold. And that every decision she made could determine the safety of her unborn child and the success of her mission. The transfer to the secure lab began at dawn. Emily, still nervous but determined, settled into the back of the armored car, Max lying at her feet, alert. The agents had planned a circuitous route to avoid surveillance, but the atmosphere remained tense. Every shadow along the road seemed suspicious, every vehicle behind them a possible tracker. After an hour's drive, as the car slowed down for a seemingly routine traffic stop, Emily saw a black vehicle slip behind them. Her hands tightened on the bag containing the samples. Max groaned, looking up at Officer Daniels. "They're following us," Daniels murmured. Without losing his composure, he initiated a sharp maneuver to lose the vehicle. But the driver of the black vehicle anticipated the move and continued to follow them, closing in dangerously. Suddenly, the enemy car tried to block their path. The senior agent took the wheel and, with a quick maneuver, managed to avoid a collision. Max barked sharply, ready to intervene at the slightest suspicious movement. Emily, though terrified, felt a surge of adrenaline. She had to remain calm, protect the samples, and trust those protecting her. The black vehicle eventually slowed down and disappeared around a bend, but the alert remained high. The senior agent turned to Emily. "This confirms that the organization is prepared to do anything. We need to be even more careful." Emily clutched the package to her chest, her mind working at full speed. "They know I'm transporting these samples, but how did they find out my route?" she murmured. Agent Daniels replied, "That remains to be seen. For now, our priority is to reach the lab intact. But know this, you're not alone. Max and we will do everything we can to ensure these samples arrive at their destination." Emily looked at the dog, feeling her courage strengthened by its reassuring presence. She understood that the danger was real, but that her instincts, her determination, and her allies could help her overcome this first confrontation. And she knew that the criminal organization wouldn't give up easily. After a tense journey and constant vigilance, Emily and the agents finally arrived at the secure laboratory. The building, surrounded by high walls and state-of-the-art security systems, seemed like a haven of peace compared to the dangers of the road. Max quickly sniffed the premises, seemingly confirming that everything was secure, at least for now. Inside, Emily was greeted by a team of scientists and security specialists. She was asked to place the samples in a special containment room, protected by biometric codes and continuous camera surveillance. She felt a slight sense of relief. Perhaps here, she could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the calm was short-lived. While she was discussing the next steps with the senior officer, an alarm sounded. Security cameras had detected unauthorized access to the containment room, and the footage showed a member of the scientific staff manipulating the devices. Emily felt her heart race. "What?" she exclaimed. "It's not possible." Officer Daniels quickly intervened. "We have a traitor in our midst. This person is likely part of the criminal organization." Max growled, his fur bristling. The dog seemed to recognize the danger immediately. Emily, though shocked, took a deep breath. "We have to act fast before they take the samples." The senior agent addressed the team, "Block all exits and secure the containment room immediately. No one leaves this place until we have identified the traitor." Emily watched the scene unfold, her mind racing. She realized that physical security wasn't enough, the threat came from within, and the criminal organization had infiltrated even this supposedly safe haven. She had to remain vigilant, protect the samples, and anticipate their next moves. Max approached her, resting his head on her knees, as if to give her courage. Emily then understood that despite the danger, they formed a united team, she, the agents, and Max, together against this organization that would stop at nothing to recover what she was transporting. The alarm was still blaring in the lab as agents surrounded the corridors and blocked all exits. Emily, her heart pounding, stood beside Max, her loyal protector. The dog seemed nervous, sniffing the air and growling at regular intervals, as if he wanted to point someone out. Agent Daniels approached her, whispering, "Emily, stay calm. Max has an incredible sense for detecting intruders. If he's reacting this way, the traitor is close." A few minutes later, a confrontation erupted in the main corridor. Max lunged at a scientist who was trying to escape with a stolen access badge. The man collapsed, subdued by the agents. Emily recognized with horror the face of Dr. Simmons, a researcher who had been working in the lab for months. He had always seemed friendly and competent, but the truth was out, he had been infiltrated by the criminal organization. "Simmons," Emily murmured, shocked. "I never would have imagined." The senior agent addressed the traitor, his face grave. "Dr. Simmons, you are under arrest for attempted theft and complicity with a criminal organization. You have endangered lives and crucial samples." Simmons tried to speak, but Max barked so loudly that he instinctively backed away. Emily felt a mixture of fear and relief. The immediate threat was neutralized, but the organization now knew that their plans had failed here. Agent Daniels checked the containment room and confirmed that all the samples were intact. "You did a good job, Emily. Thanks to your vigilance and Max's, the samples are safe." Emily stroked the dog's head gratefully. "Thank you, Max. I don't know what I would have done without you." The senior agent, while keeping an eye on Simmons, added, "This isn't over. The organization will try something else. We must remain vigilant and prepare a plan for their next attack. But for now, you can breathe a little easier." Emily realized that each step had been a lesson. Vigilance, trust, and courage were essential. And she knew that the coming days would be crucial to protecting the samples, her child, and her own life. In the days that followed, Emily remained under strict protection in the secure laboratory. Every movement was monitored, every visitor screened. Max, loyal and vigilant, never left her side. Despite the lingering fear, Emily felt stronger. She knew that the key to protecting the samples was to remain calm and focused. One night, when everything seemed calm, agents detected suspicious activity outside the laboratory. The criminal organization had launched a coordinated attack, sending several members to try to seize the samples. The alarm sounded, and Emily was immediately taken to the reinforced containment room. Max positioned himself at the entrance, barking fiercely as soon as the intruders approached. The officers surrounded the building, ready to intervene. Emily, though trembling, felt a newfound determination. She had to protect what she was carrying, for the sake of the innocent and for the future of her child. The confrontation was swift but intense. The intruders were neutralized thanks to the agents' perfect coordination, Max's vigilance, and the lab's strategy. No samples had been touched. Emily watched the scene, her heart pounding, but relieved. The immediate threat had been eliminated. Once calm had been restored, the senior agent addressed her, "Emily, thanks to your courage, your composure, and Max's, everything is secure. The samples are now in the hands of specialists, and the organization will no longer be able to access them." Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. She stroked Max's head, her eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you so much, Max." As the laboratory returned to its normal rhythm, Emily realized that this adventure had transformed her. She was no longer just a pregnant woman on a trip, she had become the guardian of a crucial secret, a courageous protector in the face of an unsuspected danger. And as she finally settled down to rest, with Max by her side, Emily knew that, whatever the future held, she had the strength, the courage, and the allies she needed to face any danger. The truth had been revealed, the threat neutralized, and for the first time since this ordeal began, she could breathe freely.